So, as an energetic coach, one of the common things I see is that people will talk to me about their experience and they'll feel like they're blabbering, right? They'll feel like they're just saying things over and over, they're not making any sense. And they always ask me, like, hey, I hope this is making sense. I'm sorry, am I wasting the time? Blah, blah, blah. And, like, this is a very common thing. You know why? Because most people grow up in family situations where people used misunderstanding them as a weapon. So, let me help you understand this, right? If I'm a child, right, and I am trying to connect with my parent, right, then I need to create a bridge of understanding, a bridge of connection, right? So we have a mutual understanding of each other so that we can work with and grow from, so that we can communicate over it, right? But here's the thing, if I'm a parent and my goal is to make my child obedient, then what I need to do is kill my child's willingness to communicate with me and just make them feel apathy about communicating with me. Because here's the thing. If they feel apathy about communicating with me, then I know that one thing for sure, that they will not try to think their way through me. They won't see me as someone that I can reason with, right? And so therefore they won't be as invested to try to change my mind on anything, right? They will simply just give up, right? And so it creates a sense of apathy, right? It creates a sense of like, oh, what's the point of trying to communicate with my parents because they're not going to understand me anyway, right? The second thing is that they will now succumb to obedience by default because if communicating with me is pointless, then obedience is the only way for them to connect with me now, right? And the third thing is if obedience is the only way to connect with me, then they will start to perceive that obedience is somewhat right, it's somewhat correct, right? And they'll start to believe that this is just the right way to talk to their parents and interact with their parents. And you see, this is the logical framework a lot of parents use. So you got to understand, even though you grew up in a family system where people told you that you were saying nothing, you were making sense, you were silly, you were stupid. The reason they said that was to weaponize misunderstanding. They turned misunderstanding into a weapon that they can use against you to confuse the fuck out of you. You know what I mean? Because if you lose the ability to communicate with someone, then you still need to connect to them. Then what you're going to do is you're going to try to connect in other ways. And if I'm smart enough, I can manipulate you into connecting with me in the way that I want you to connect to me, which is like this sort of master servant dynamic. And this is what a lot of controlling toxic cult like is religion based families will do, right? It's kind of a whole thing. And so you need to be aware of that, right? You need to be aware of that. A lot of parents will weaponize misunderstanding you in order to control you, right? And if you've experienced this, and this is what your life is like, right? You constantly feel now that what you're saying and what you do is not going to be heard. You feel like you constantly feel like whatever you say is not going to be it's not going to reach the other person. You constantly feel like everything you say is happening in an echo chamber. You feel like your emotions aren't valid. You feel like nothing you experience is valid. And right, you may experience even a throat chakra blockage where you have a hard time even speaking. You may develop a stutter because the reason people develop stutters and all these experiences is because what's the point of communicating? They just immediately feel fear and they feel shut down when they try to reason and talk with their parent. And the reason their parent is really doing this at the end of the day is to completely squash the child's ability to question them, so that the child succumbs to the authority figure and the hierarchy. And it's successful at that, but it completely destroys the human underneath that's being obedient in the system. It completely destroys them, because this is what it does. It makes it hard for you to even express yourself to other people, right? You may get frustrated trying to express yourself to other people. You may think it's silly. And what you got to understand is that this was intentional. Like, you don't know how, you don't have this level of damage in your own body at your old age if it wasn't intentional. You understand? Like, it's like for instance, like you can have a disease, and then that disease may be like, haphazardly ruining your body in very odd ways. But it's very different than someone taking a hammer or a nail gun and really digging into your arm, right? That's the difference. Like, they did this intentionally. That's what you're experiencing right now, because your throat chakra is completely shut down, right? Like, your ability to express yourself is completely shut down. And here's the thing, you stop trusting yourself because you stop believing that you have the ability to connect with other people, right? So you're like, oh, I'm an untrustworthy communicator, right? And you may start to also believe, especially if they insult you or take you down or like talk bad about you, that everything you say is like going to lead to conflict or argument. So you may feel like you're the problem, when in reality they're the problem. Because you got to understand, your desire to communicate, your desire to articulate, and your ability to use your intelligence to amplify both of these things is natural. It's a natural thing to want to do that, right? This is why a lot of people watch my videos and they like the way I articulate things, because it's like, I want to do that. Why wouldn't you want to do that? It makes it easier to talk to people, right? That's a natural thing. It's the same thing if you saw a human being walking and you'd never walked before. It's like, what? I want to do that. That feels right because that's a part of me, you know? It's not like wow, this is something you want so much. It's like, no, no, no. I should have been able to do this. We got to recognize what your parents did to you was fucked up. It was evil. And here's another thing. They probably didn't even do it on purpose. They probably did it because they didn't even see it as a violation. They had a priority, and they were loyal to their priority more than they were loyal to you. Their priority was to have a well-functioning, oiled family or a perfect family or the whatever fucking bullshit lie they fucking came up with, right? But as a result of it, they took the humanity out of you, and now what's left is this person who has all these emotions but no channel to release them. That's fucked up. Because now when you express yourself, it's like an explosion, and you break down. You can't even process it. It's too much. Like, how is this good? You know, you've literally ruined your child's life, and for what? To feel better about you? Fuck off, bro. Fuck off. This is where I just look at the shit and go like, fuck you. Like, this is some bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, this is some bullshit. This is some bullshit. This is some bullshit, right? And yeah. So if you're trying to heal from this, I need you to understand a couple things. So let's get into it. The first thing you have to understand is that you having an open line of communication to other people and them being able to receive you is natural. And here's the thing your parents never did. Your parents didn't try to understand you, right? They didn't try. They didn't give a fuck because they wanted to control you. And right, so they were like, oh, she doesn't understand this. Okay, great. She thinks we don't understand her. Great. Let's play into this. Let's make her feel crazy. So she stops bringing this bullshit to us so that we can eventually break her spirit. That's literally how some parents think. Literally verbatim how they think sometimes. And you know who you are. You know who your family is. You know what I mean? Right? And so understand this, that people who want to understand you will build the bridge of communication with you. They'll be like, "Oh, what do you mean by that? Oh, what do you really? Are you saying that?" And and you need to, and this is what you need to do to make it easier, right? For yourself. Make a list. If someone wants to understand me, they will do these things, right? Create a criteria list. Like if someone wants to use ChatGPT, if someone wants to understand me, they will do these things, right? And if someone doesn't want to understand me, they will do these things, right? And make a criteria list so that you have a mental framework to understand who's willing to listen to you, who's willing not to listen to you. Because there's a lot of people who want to manipulate you, straight up. There's people who look for people who've been abused to take advantage of them. So be aware of that, right? The second thing is you have to realize that speaking up for yourself and being heard is natural. It's more natural to be heard than to not be heard. So even the things that you don't say are manifesting in reality somewhere, right? And you're either in your own body or in some sort of habit or experience you continually keep experiencing. So speaking about it is just a way of looking at it. So this is the third thing. Speaking about things and being able to articulate them allows you to see them more clearly, right? Me making these videos, it makes it easier for me to process my own energy, right? Because this is shit I experience. Like, I'm not just making shit for you. I'm making shit for me. You know what I mean? And that's why you fuck with it, because it's like shit. I relate to this guy, you know. So that's the thing, right? And that's just how it is, right? And here's the fourth thing I want you to keep in mind is that someone who really wants to understand you isn't intentionally going to misunderstand you. You know what I mean? They're not going to become stubborn. You right? And so you have to become clear. Like some people don't want to hear you, even if, and they may not be even doing it for malicious reasons. They just may not just have fucking different objectives, right? Or maybe they don't want you to change their mind because they feel weak-minded. So keep that in mind, right? And I think the last thing I want to leave you with is that when you are learning to speak up for yourself, you have to recognize that you should have been doing this from the beginning of your life. You know what I mean? Like that, your parents being an obstruction to you is unnatural. And they shouldn't have done it to them. They've done it to you, but they did it because their parents did it to them, and their parents did it to them, and their parents did it to them, right? So you're probably the first person in your bloodline to fucking break this curse. So be aware of that, you know, and have fun out there. Like, take it easy, go slow, be gentle. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. If you're interested in coaching, I have one-on-one sessions available. And yeah, peace.